Good day, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have with us Usama Khan, came to Canada in 2019. After that, has pursued a career in product management over here. So we'll get to know a little bit about Usama's journey today. So Usama, if we can get started by you telling us a little bit about yourself first.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. My name is Usama Khan. I started my career after graduating from NUST in Pakistan in information system engineering. And by training, I could either be a software engineer or telecom engineer. But I decided to pursue the path less traveled. I started to become a startup founder. So my first experience was kind of fresh out of college. I built out a digital services agency. Right after that, I did a edtech startup that was focused on connecting students to the universities for admissions in Pakistan. So went through the traditional route, but that was my first product building experience. And then when in a couple of years the startup did not work out, I took my learnings and the lessons I had learned during that journey and started offering them as a product consulting service. Fast forward to 2019 when I decided to move to Canada. When I came here, I was not really sure where I would place myself because prior to this, I had worked just myself. But when I came here, I thought product management is something that I feel comfortable with. And I started applying for jobs here and then eventually got lucky and found a job that gave me my first formal product management role. And since then, I've moved, in my career across different companies, some small, some big, but mainly in the digital product management space. And right now, I am also coming back to my consulting side of things, where I have partnered with some other product managers, and we are together providing some consulting service to startup founders to build and launch their products.
That's good. We'll come back to that one. That's a good thing to talk about. But for the moment, I want to ask you another question. So right now, what is one day in the life of Osama Khan right now? Like the work, how does it work? When you wake up, how do things progress? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So right now, I'm actually doing a couple of things. So right now, like I said, I'm running my consulting service where we are providing product-related services to different customers and different clients depending on their need. And the model of operation is such that in some arrangements, I'm working as a resource myself, and in other cases, we are basically a consultant for them. We come in and help them out. So my typical day is a lot of meetings here and there, depending on what things are looking like. In the space of product, as you would know, product has a whole life cycle. So, for one of our clients, for example, it's all about, focused on product discovery, where we're trying to understand what to build and how to build it. So that involves a lot of user research, talking to our users of the product, doing some user research, market research, and all those things, and then documenting all of that to share with engineering to build. And in other situation, I am actually on the delivery side of things, where once those requirements are ready, I have to work with my engineering team to make sure that those requirements are understood properly and are delivered on time and on track with respect to how the product goals should be achieved, and eventually monitoring progress that nothing is regressing and basically everything is working the way it should and it's adding the value that the users are looking for. So a typical day would be comprised of any or all of these things, depending on the time and nature of the job and where we are with things. But a lot of meetings, some documentation, and a lot of formal and informal communication through chat, through emails, and all of that, and both internally and externally.
Interesting. So I do want to ask one question because that's a challenge that remains for a lot of people who actually start their own consulting and contracting business
Mhm.
is the fact that how do you acquire business? Like, what are the efforts that you make? Because this is always remains a big point of contention for anybody who is jumping out there.
Absolutely, yeah. So I would say that this is a function of a lot of things. I don't think so. There is one silver bullet that I can tell or I used that led me to where I am today, right? So I think a lot of this has to come in organically in the sense of building out a network, right? Your network is your net worth. Like this is one phrase that we sometimes take lightly, but I think it has and holds a lot of value. So for me personally speaking, the only reason why I was able to did my startup and last a few years while doing that with investors involved and everything was because of the network. I put myself out there. I started pitching myself and start introducing myself to people who were around me, and then they introduced me and opened doors for me to, putting me in touch with other people and so on and so forth. And fast forward, I had a couple of investors backing my idea, helping me out and live out that dream. Of course, it didn't work out. That's fine, but even from a execution perspective, I had achieved something which then made my name known in the small space that I was operating in, and that got me some consulting assignments right after when I actually moved on and started offering consulting. When I came to Canada, I did not have a network, rightfully so. I was a new immigrant here. I was trying to meet people. We have a lot of people that I knew from before, but everyone is busy with their own thing, and what they're doing may not or may be directly relevant to what you're doing. So sometimes, even if you know someone personally, they might not be able to add value to your professional endeavors. So it took me some time to kind of build out that network. And in that period, I decided that I wanted to understand how Canadian landscape is working, and that's why I ended up doing a job or a couple of jobs rather, just trying and learning from the people who are doing it, and that also opened up a lot of channels for me. But in the process, I did one thing that I think has served me well, which is continue building networks.
Okay.
The networks can come from multiple sources. So for me, the two networks that I kind of leaned on when I was in Canada, and that led me to where I am today in terms of finding those contracts. One was on a personal basis where I was in product management. So I started finding product managers around me. And because I'm from Pakistan, I specifically focused on finding Pakistan origin PMs. And luckily, I found a bunch of them and amazing people around me who were always willing to help out. And then one thing led to another. Over years, we developed a relationship that led to a couple of opportunities and doors unlocked. And then at the same time, I started really connecting everyone and whoever I could on a professional level. Where on LinkedIn, for example, people I've worked with before, I stayed in touch even if I wasn't working with them anymore. So those two opportunities definitely helped me out in finding some clientele, and then that led me to where I am today.
Absolutely amazing, amazing. So one last question for you, Sama, is that for those individuals, and I know some of it you've already said, but if you want to structure it in a different way, you can. What advice you would give to anybody who is planning to, who's actually moved into Canada and planning to pursue a career in product management? So should they go about it? Of course, minus the network part, because that's a given. Yes, we
Right,
talked
of
about.
course, yeah. But I think, so personally speaking, I would say that the way I did it, it ended up being and I didn't know how it would turn out, to be honest, right? So I was experimenting at that time with a couple of things, and one of these things started working out, and then I just continued with it. So when I came in, I kind of decided, or I was thinking about how I could wear multiple hats. I could either be a project manager, I could be a digital marketer, or I could be a product manager and stuff like that. I identified that this is one part that I felt like product management became one function where I felt I am skilled enough to qualify for a job. I felt that I could actually establish myself, and at the same time, I understood the market enough, at least after researching it and talking to people, that there are a lot of opportunities. So those three kind of came together and then gave me my first breakthrough. And then everything else since then has been just a forcing function or just a result of that, I would say. So my advice would be for anyone starting off new is, if you feel confident in whatever domain you might be, like it doesn't have to apply to product management, but back home, whatever you did, and you feel this is your skill set that you feel there is a market opportunity here for, and you feel there are work opportunities or anything that you might find that can actually give you a good start, go for it. And just stay focused on it. I still remember it took me a good 4 or 5 months to land my first product management role. For any other person, any average person that I come across, they lose hope in the first few weeks. But I think the only thing that worked in my favor was I was persistent. I knew that there was a market for someone like me, and I just had to get through. It took me some times. It took me a lot of interviews, lots of job applications, lots of rejections, and lots of interviews. But finally, I did get my breakthrough. I do obviously want to thank the first person who gave me, a chance and an opportunity. But at the same time, I feel like over time and all through this process, my pitch became strong enough that I was able to convince them that I'm the right hire. And I think everything else since then has been
Okay.
just one step after the other.
Perfect. Amazing. Persistence, networking, and perseverance. Amazing. I think
Absolutely.
those are the way to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Osama, for your time today. It was an honor talking to you, and hopefully we'll connect with you later in the future as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.